Hello, this is Scotty McCoy. I'm the author of the Ultimate Friday the 13th trivia book, and I'm writing another book titled The Ultimate Slasher Movie Encyclopedia. I'm interviewing the cast and crew of the Friday the 13th franchise. And I have on the phone with me America Olivo. Is that right?
Olivo.
And she played Amanda in Friday the 13th, the reboot in 2009. Hi, America. How are you doing?
I am well. Thanks. Nice talking to you.
No problem. It's nice talking to you too. So I have a couple questions for you. The first one I have for you is, what was your audition like for Friday the 13th, 2009?
2009. Oh, decades ago.
I know, right?
It was really it was a fun experience because I was working at the time on another film called Bitch Slap, and out in the desert, the Mojave Desert, and it was a real tough film to work on because it was an indie film, so the budgets were tight, and we were sleeping in some motels in the middle of the desert. There really aren't any other options, and it was just 12 hours a day in the hot sun, and it was dirty and crazy. And I got a phone call from my friend Nick, who's one of the other actors in the film, and he said, hey, I guess there was somebody else that was cast, and there was some problem, and they need someone to come in and fill this role for Amanda, like last minute. Where are you? Should I mention your name here? And I was like, I don't think I want to do another film right now. I was so tired. You have no idea. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, no, it's Friday the 13th. I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm really tired right now. When I go to sleep. And he's like, no. You have to do this. It's great. I mean, we're in Austin. We're having this great time. And, we're at I think we were staying at Four Seasons, and we're all getting ready to, shoot this big film. And I just couldn't comprehend it because my life was just like, at the time I was kind of in this like roach motel in the desert. Right. Looking at the roach next to me like, hey, what do you think? Should we go for this? Should we try to go to Four Seasons in Austin or what? So the roach and I agreed that, gosh, this sounds like a terrible story. I'm making it sound like the producers of Bitch Slap were really mean to us, but they weren't. There were really no other options in the desert. But the issue was I was also working on the other film, so I couldn't be released, and they would need me to go immediately to Austin. So there was kind of the producers of Bitch Slap happened to know the producers of Friday the 13th, and they ended up doing a phone call like, can we borrow your actress, sort of thing. So they made some sort of deals, and they looked at me and they said, do you want, they were being very kind to me to allow me to leave early from set, and I had to go down because I needed to be signed off by Paramount and Michael Bay and all that, and all the producers and everything. So they couldn't just go on Nick's word or something. But so of course they looked at all my materials and my reel and my body of work, and then they said, yeah, we're interested. And so I had to drive in to LA, and I had to meet with the casting people for Friday the 13th in person, and they wanted to go over the scenes that I would be doing. But one of the major scenes happens to be a lot of the scenes are naked or having sex or topless. So it was like one of those weird auditions where you're like, how do you do this without being like, where you get, where this gets awkward in a casting office. Right. There's always those fun auditions where you're like, how do I? So I remember just driving down going, how am I going to, because they'd just given me just enough time to kind of glance over what I needed to do. And I got there and I needed to basically, convince them I would do this. And there was a big concern because I think the woman who had left the role had an objection to nudity, so I also had to give them sort of a confidence that I was going to be okay with that, right, or something like that. I don't really remember, and it's none of my business, so don't quote me on whatever happened with her. But I had to figure out a way to show them that I could do this, that I could pull off, the sexiness and the tease and the comedy of it at the same time, not like go topless in front of these casting directors because that's inappropriate. So,
Right.
so I like I really didn't know what I was going to do. And by the time I got there, I was meeting them. It was all very nice and high, and they're like, okay, so do you know how you're going to do the scene? I was just like, they were putting it on tape so they could send it around to the studio and producers and stuff. Right. And I said, yeah, I have an idea. And they said, great, let's just see what you do, and we'll figure it. We'll see if it works, and if it doesn't, then we'll give you some direction. And I decided I did the whole scene, and at some point when the top was going to come off, like I ended up turning my back, and like I found a way to like turn my back to the camera and tease the camera without showing anything, and then like I ended up doing sort of a strip tease like a cabaret girl would do, I guess, where you're not showing anything, but you're just giving this whole like scene of teasing and blah blah blah. And then at the end, I remember pulling my jacket off, but my back was turned to the camera, and throwing it at the camera and kind of covering the camera with it at the end. And
nice.
And somehow it just worked, and I was able to not expose myself and also get the part, because that did the trick, I guess. Awesome. So then, it was like the next day or something crazy like that. I had to get on a flight, and I was just dirty and sandy from the desert and exhausted, and I didn't know. And then all these ideas that Nick Manel was saying, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be so fun, wait till you meet the cast. And we were out on the lake, and we're getting to know each other, because they had spent like 2 weeks beforehand getting to know each other and like becoming friends, so that the feeling of camaraderie would be natural on set. And then when I got there, they were like, I was at the tail end of when they had these locations and how like of what they were allowed to spend on those scenes that Amanda and that crew were in. Right. So I like skipped right past, like I would like put my stuff down in a little Four Seasons like hotel, and I'm like, oh, Four Seasons, like I never slept in that bed. I just like didn't even like they just my hair was blonde for the other films. They had to dye it black, and then they threw me into everything like back to back. I don't remember sleeping for days, and they were just like it was such a blur, and they had shot like everything else out of a lot of the scenes, and they just needed to insert the coverage on that character because of what had happened. So I didn't get to hang out with anybody. I didn't get to subsequently I ended up getting to know everybody really well, but like at the time I was thrown in. I was this weird nude kid that like literally in this other costume at the last second, and just sort of hit the ground running and didn't know what had hit me by the time I was done.
Right.
Yeah. But it was great, and it was an awesome experience, and everybody's so amazing in that cast that I was a new kid, and I was so nervous about stepping in on a lot of them are such great comedians too, the great improv actors, so they had already gone off script a lot and created their own like friendly dialogue, and I didn't even know their lingo, and I'm like, what are you guys talking about? This isn't even on the script right now. So it was an adjustment, but it was ultimately like really fun.
Definitely.
They were great.
So something not Friday the 13th related, how did you get your start into acting?
My mom was an actor. She was an acting teacher, and we were in LA, and I started in community theater when I was about 4 years old, and I was also a singer, and then I always did it. I just always did it in community theater in school, and then in high school, and then I went to performing arts. I went to Cal Arts, and then I went into Juilliard, and then I did the track of just making that my focus my whole life. Okay. When I graduated, I was very fortunate to have some inroads in the music industry, which is where I landed when I first got out of Juilliard. I got a record deal with my band Soluna. It's a Spanish-English pop group, and we were with DreamWorks Records. They had a record division at the time. And I spent like a good 6 years doing that. And our manager at the time, which was Irene Dreyer and Suzanne DePass, they had a lot of film and television that they produce, Sister and Smart Guy and
Nice.
Lonesome Dove and things like that they've they part of what they do. So as a girl group, at some point, they had the idea to bring us to make a sitcom about us. So we actually worked with Paramount on a sitcom, sort of like The Monkees, about our group. It was a scripted sitcom, not a reality show.
Okay.
And we had put that into production for about 2 years. We filmed a pilot with Kelsey Grammer's company too, and we went into development for the CW network. And unfortunately, so it was the tail end of the music industry. The music industry was like folding in front of us. The DreamWorks Records folded, and in fact, they just dropped their record division, and then things were really shifting around musically. So we focused on that more, and then the CW network picked us up for pilot. We did the pilot, and then CW network turned into UPN, and they didn't take it or something like that. So we got really, really lucky. I feel like I've been really, really, really lucky in my life, and also had some really weird timing with that luck. Like, get a record deal when the record industry's folding, or get a sitcom deal when the network is being sold to another network.
Right.
It's like, so I mean, I've been very, very committed to a career as an actor and a singer my whole life, and I've also been extremely lucky. And the combo of those two has landed me where I am today. But so after the music industry wasn't around anymore, I just I did both acting and singing, so I just focused more on my acting at that point. And when the sitcom didn't go to series, I called. We were with CAA, like a big agency, and I actually called them and told them, like, I really wanted to go to a smaller agency and like really hit the ground, do the groundwork as an actor from the start of an actor in television and film, because I didn't have that experience at that point. I just had this one great experience with creating a sitcom around our, but then I didn't have like that, like I hadn't been like second lady to the left in a TV show. Like I really wanted to experience and understand what the industry was. So he sort of laughed at me. Our agent was like, "Really, you want to start from the beginning?" I'm like, "I kind of do. I like to know." I like to work my way up from something and know all the parts. And so I did. I went to a small, not a no-name agency by any means, but just a smaller, more boutique, and started doing guest stars and co-star roles and learning, how to do it, because I didn't want to, fall on my face in a lead thing and not know what I'm doing if I were so lucky. So I spent years doing that, just kind of building it up and gaining experience and doing lots of auditions with everybody else in LA, and did it that way. And,
awesome.
And that was another experience. And so building up the side of my resume.
Awesome. So what was the best part about filming Friday the 13th, and what was the worst?
Best parts about filming Friday the 13th. God, if I can remember. I think the best parts for me were just the whole crew, the group of the cast for ours at least. I fell in love with each and every one of them, and they're just funny and they're wonderful, and just being around that group was the best part. Just subsequently getting to know them, because like I said, I didn't really get the preamble to this whole thing, but and having friendships with them that have lasted to this day. That's been lovely. And the worst part is probably so there's one of the last things I think we shot of my stuff for the film was under complete time restraint, because we were losing the location and we were losing the dark. The light was coming, and we had and I needed we had to do my snatch and grab scene. Where Derek has to come in and get me out of the tent and hack me up, or no, put me over the fire, rotisserie me. And but he had to do the snatch scene where I'm like waiting for calling for my boyfriend in the tent, and he has to like take the machete and cut a hole in the back and come and grab me and pull me out. So that seems simple if you're thinking about it, to anyone who, just when you're not really thinking about the logistics of it, it seems simple. But when on the day, they built the tent and they built the whole scene, and the set does, people were like, we literally have like 10 minutes before the light comes up and this is gone, and we lose the location, we lose everything. We don't have time to do this twice. Like, we have to nail this on the first time. Right. Only time. No rehearsal, nothing, and like I said, we're all exhausted. It's all like ridiculous. And and Derek, he's such a seasoned stunt person and actor, and he's like, no, I'm not doing this without rehearsal. He's like, I could hurt somebody about it, like a sharp machete. It needs to be sharp enough to cut, like to be able to cut into this tent, right? Right. But not without cutting me, and I can't see him because my back's turned to him, if you remember that scene. Yeah. And so we have like just a few minutes to say like I'm like, Derek, we can do this. He's like, oh, I don't want to hurt you. I'm like, no, I can do this. Just, we're going to do this like a dance move. Like, we're just going to go on, like, we're going to count. And I'm not, because I have to be far enough back for him to grab me out of the back, but not far enough that he's going to slice me with the machete when he opens it. So, and I can't see him. And, it's all this complicated choreography, but and we can only do this once. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit forward. I'm gonna look out front and look for Ben and call for him, and then I'm gonna count bum bum bum, and then I'm gonna lean forward again. That's when you do the machete. Or he was saying this to me. I don't remember who was saying it, or Marcus was saying it. I don't know. And then I'm gonna at some point, I will lean back, and if somehow I'm going to have to not know what's happening and be scared, but then leaning back, and then you'll be able to grab me with just your arm from the back. Right. So we have this like boom, boom, boom dance move, and I don't want to get back too soon, otherwise I'll get cut, and I don't want to ruin the scene if I'm too far forward, whatever. So so we agree to do it. Derek reluctantly agrees, like, I don't like this. I'm like, we just have to do it, And then Marcus is getting crazy, like, director, like, yeah, we gotta do it. We're losing everything. I'm like, oh my god. So he goes. I think Marcus says something like, rolling camera. He said like background action or something. I don't know what he says. He says some other command first, and I start counting, and I realized it wasn't action. Right. So I'm off like the count or something, and I'm like, wait a minute, did we say it was going to be on camera speed or action? Like, what was the cue we were counting on? All of a sudden, I'm not counting at all, and I know that and now I'm like legit scared because I don't know when he's coming. I don't know where the machete is going to be, and I'm not in the right place. So like that whole scene happens, and you're looking at my face on like complete legit terror of like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm going to get cut open right now. Oh my god. And then I was like, and Derek's just such a pro, he just made it work, and I didn't do anything right. So that was the scariest part. Like, I don't know how he did it.
That is hilarious. Yeah. So what was your most memorable moment while filming Friday the 13th?
That was one of them. There were some other funny moments of, just being in the bag or like falling out of the bag and having to I was covered in fire retardant so that it wouldn't burn. Right. And I guess that the stunt woman who was supposed to be taking those falls was in the hospital with like hypothermia or something, and I had heard this and I didn't really understand it because it was the dead heat of the summer, and I didn't understand why she'd have hypothermia. I was like, why is she in the hospital? They're like, can you do it? Can you do the fall? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. When you're looking at it, it doesn't look like it would hurt that much. But then when you're falling like as a limp body 4 feet from 4 feet down, you're like over and over again. It actually does hurt. But yeah, and then I realized, so they lathered me. They did all this prosthetic work on, or what do you call it? Special effects makeup on me that they had done for like 3 hours. I had people in every crevice of my body creating different layers that they could rotisserie off of me. When Amanda Rigetti comes and she like is supposed to be like, oh, Amanda. Sorry, that's confusing. And she's like supposed to like come and like we have some takes like this where she comes and she takes like the first layer or two off of my skin when she's trying to grab for me.
Right.
And it's so gross. They ended up like cutting that because it was like people were like losing their lunch in the test audience. They were like, that's nasty.
Oh my God.
It was so good. But so they had all this makeup on me, and they'd done all that. And then they have me covered in fire retardant, and then I'm falling from this bag over and over, and they've got fire all around, and I had to inhale a cigarette and then like exhale it out to like give the effect of being on fire from the inside.
Right.
But subtly, so it looked like I was dead, and my mouth just sort of like hit the ground and then released it.
Right.
There's all these like little specific things that you have to do to sell that moment that I don't think made it actually at the end to the final print, so we did this over and over, and I'm getting really cold and getting freezing, and like I said, it was dead heat of the summer, and I didn't know that like fire retardant it basically turns you it freezes you, so you can't have it on very long. So these are things this is why actors shouldn't do stunts, because like you don't know what you're not supposed to do. Like you're supposed to get out of that.
Yep. So you were in the sleeping bag the whole time then?
What?
You were in the sleeping bag the whole time then?
No, there's a machine in it, I think, at some point. I don't know if I'm giving away too many secrets, but I don't know. I think they did some effects, and then there is a stunt woman that's in there who ended up in the hospital that night. And then I fell out of the bag repeatedly onto the floor. So, and I was in the bag as well for those other shots where I think they turned me upside down I was right side up, but then they made it look upside down in the film in the end, I think, if I remember correctly. So, but no, I was in the bag. A lot. But, and then so falling out repeatedly was a memorable experience. And yeah, just being surrounded by fire and having Amanda Rigetti peel layers off of my skin over and over was pretty awesome. I wish someone would see that part. I never got a chance to see the final print of that whole. It looked really cool from my perspective.
It is really cool. You basically answered the next question, which was how was your death scene filmed? You basically talked about all that. So the next part I have is what was it like working with Derek Mears?
Oh, Derek. Derek is he's the funniest guy, one of the funniest men I know. So it's just such a funny contrast that he is both like the scariest, on-screen persona and the funniest and warmest and sweetest person in real life. We've done a lot of traveling together after the film, doing signings and doing publicity tour stuff, and I got to know him in the subsequent years, and he's just wonderful. Really sweetest guy.
That's great. So, in the film, you did, of course, as everybody knows, a nude scene where you put that, I guess it was baby oil on your breast?
Yeah.
What was it like doing a complete nude scene on camera? Like, was it uncomfortable, or how were you comfortable? How was that?
I had warmed up to that point in my career already. I'd done some other sort of love scenes or semi or peekaboo-ish things, and I don't know if I'd ever done something quite that. I don't know. I have to think back. Maybe it was a little bit more salacious than some other things I'd done, but I was pretty comfortable. At that point, I was probably like, I wasn't 21 anymore, and it just get comfortable. And I had done I used to be really, 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 really like good Catholic girl prude.
Right.
Like not even change in front of, my best friend or anything, or, and there was a time when I just realized that I wanted to let that go. It was something I made a decision. I called a friend of mine who's an amazing photographer, and I was probably like 27 years old, and I said, I want to come into your studio, and he'd offered before. I didn't force him to take naked pictures of me. He'd said that he wanted to do nudes of people who were into athletics. Right. So he'd asked me at that time. I was like doing more bodybuilding stuff, and he said, I'd like to have you come in, and I said no. And then like a few years later, I called him back and said, actually, I want to take you up on that offer, and I don't want you to I want you to have all of them and to do whatever you want with those pictures. I don't want to have any control over them, and I want to be free of controlling my image of me and my body. I want you to just just have them. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you touch them. I don't care if you publish them. I don't care. Just they're yours. Right. And there was a process, and he's such a beautiful photographer. So and he was his name is Caesar Lima, and he would take photos, and they would project in real time up on the wall behind him, so I could see the pictures as it was happening. And the first pictures I saw, they were projected. I was just really shy and uncomfortable. And then as the photo shoot started going, I started learning just more about my body and what it looked like from that. And I saw it through his eyes, because he's such a great photographer. He showed me the beauty in the parts of myself that I was shy about. And and I just sort of released through that photo shoot, and after that I started accepting more and more roles that were just where it might have some nude scenes or love scenes or whatever, and got past it. I got really past it.
That's good. So the last question I got for you is, do you have any future projects in the works that you'd like to tell the readers about?
Sure. Yeah, well, I don't know when this is coming out, so I don't know what will be relevant, but I have got like next week or something, I'm on NBC's Blind Spot, if you care. But my husband and I have a production company called Esotericam Productions, and we have a series called Live from Gramercy Park, which is a Vimeo series, and we are producing a musical on Broadway called Reefer Madness. Awesome. It's a revival of the Reefer. I don't know if you know the Reefer Madness film, the original or the remake. Mm-hmm. So we are putting that on Broadway, or actually, I'm not going to say that. We are.
Well,
my husband's laughing at me. I'm like, I'm not going to say that. Wait, there's the publicity, the way I'm supposed to say this publicly, and we are bringing it back to the stage in 2018, 2019, and so that's taking up a lot of time right now. And other than that, just being creative and writing, and that's it.
Awesome. The book probably won't be released for a couple years. However, I do create a sneak peek from this, and I have like over 3,000 followers on my Facebook alone. So I'm going to be doing a sneak peek, and I'll put this last section in there. So anybody that wants to see you next week on Blind Spot, the preview will probably be going up within. I'm going to my aunt's in at around 6 o'clock, which is like 20 minutes. So when I get home from there, I'll probably be uploading it. And they can see on Blind Spot and see any of your other future projects that you have in store. They'll be able to get all the information from this.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for your time. It was a really great interview. This is one of my better interviews. You gave me a lot of information.
I don't know, but I'm like highly caffeinated right now, so sorry if I'm over talking.
It's perfectly fine. You gave me a lot of information. It's going to be hard to put it in a 5-minute sneak peek, but it's really good to put in my book. I'm really grateful because I love when I have long, in-depth interviews because it gives the fans and the buyers of the book, that gives them all the information they want to know about the movies that they love.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for including me. I'm honored.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You have a nice day.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.